Hi, I'm Adam, and I've got a problem. I like to save old Land Rovers from going to the scrapyard or a terrible farmyard existence. And so I've rescued another Land Rover, and I want to show him to you today because he could be your next Land Rover. Let's take a look at him. He's totally original. He's 32 years old. Let me show you my grey 90 that I call Lionel. Now, you may be looking at Lionel here and thinking, so what's so special? Well, let me walk you through some of the details as to why I bought Lionel and why I think you could be the next owner. So one of the reasons that I bought Lionel was the fact that I could see he had nothing altered about him from his factory spec. He's not got checker plate on him, he's not had anything bolted on inside, he's not had anything weird done to it, he's not a resto mod, he is completely original. And that's a really rare beast these days. There are loads of people out there rebuilding Land Rovers, making them better than they were when they first came out of the factory. But there are very few where you can actually say that is a stamp in time, a time warp style of Land Rover. And that's what Lionel represents. So I've spent the last year of ownership with Lionel, tinkering with him and bringing him back to good health and making him back to how he should have been, and to be extremely proud to show off his new old look. So let me give you a quick rundown of the basics about Lionel. He's a 1993 Defender 90 2.5 TDI, that's a 200 TDI, with an LT77 gearbox behind him, 5-speed. He's had one owner and he's covered 74,300 miles and just passed his MOT in August 2025, so that goes through for another 12 months to August 2026. And I've got 20 years of MOT history all printed out, ready for you to look at. In terms of his previous ownership, that's where it gets really interesting. So Lionel was a Crown vehicle and based at Porton Down. Now, the reason we don't have all of his service history is because they're not allowed to release it. So I've spoken in person to the two garages that managed Lionel for many of the years, and they've confirmed that he was serviced annually and that anything that needed doing was done. Unfortunately, and I'm guessing maybe the Official Secrets Act, they can't send me any of the bills and they can't send me any of the details. I've also tried through Porton Down themselves and got the same answer. But the fact that the MOTs gradually increment that mileage up to 74,300 shows that the mileage is genuine, and I've had their word that the car was serviced on a regular basis, and I've just done it as well. So I think that's really good peace of mind. All of the paintwork on Lionel was pretty neglected, but original, and I knew that I could bring that back and make it really, really good. And so I took a lot of time to cut the paintwork back with proper compound, bring the color back, the depth with some polish, and then apply the wax layer on the top. And now he's beautifully smooth. Also did a clay bar treatment. I got rid of any road tar as well. There's a lot of little bits and bobs. I'm a bit fanatical about that, but he's absolutely stunning. And yes, he's got a few blemishes, but he's 32 years old, don't forget. But he really, really looks amazing for his age. This is Pennine Grey, and this is a colour you don't see that often, actually. There's a few people on Instagram who have one, notably Greg King, whose Instagram account is My Primer Grey 90. He's got one as well. And I've seen one in France, in a car park, in a supermarket. But other than that, you just don't see them around that much. And I just love the colour of it. I think it really shows up well in the original styling, especially when you look at the black body parts that contrast it so nicely. Just a superb looking vehicle. And underneath the bonnet there, you'll see that there's no corrosion whatsoever. Really, really good, solid vehicle. On the front, I've kept him completely original. New plastics, new lights, also new headlights because the old seal beam units had failed. So now I've got standard halogens on the front here, but that's for somebody else to change or upgrade if they wish to. I wanted to keep the factory look about him. Let's have a look under the bonnet. As you can see, he's got a standard 200 TDI power plant, 5-speed LT77 gearbox behind that. But look how original everything is. It's in such good condition. This is one of the reasons when I saw underneath the bonnet that I thought he would be a great investment. He's got so much life left in him. With 74,000 miles on the clock, there is so much more for him to do. I've given him a full service, so he's had oil filter, air filter, fuel filter, etc. And I've used genuine parts, as you can see back there in the engine bay. But let's fire him up and you can see what you think. As you can tell from the engine notes, anyone who knows a TDI will recognise that sound. Really lovely. He runs very smoothly. Give him a little tweak. Absolutely classic Land Rover sound. No smoke at all from the exhaust, either on startup or on acceleration, as you'd expect from a vehicle that's only done 74,000 miles. One of the things I was slightly unsure about was fitting the spare wheel carrier on the rear door, but I wanted to keep Lionel as original as possible, so I've put one of those on, and then it's up to the next owner, maybe you, to decide if you want to put the alloy wheel on there or not. I'm keeping him off for the time being. You're probably looking at the back of Lionel and thinking, my, that's a lovely cross member, and you'd be right. As I say, I tried to replace as little as possible, but then last month I took the difficult decision, really, to have this completely replaced. So he's had a brand new cross member with extension legs, just because it was getting a little bit flaky in areas, and especially with such an amazing tow hitch like this, you don't want to suddenly find that your cross member's bending out. So that's been fitted, professionally done, and the whole chassis has been coated in Lanoguard as well, and the axles, to give it a little bit of extra longevity too. Brand new mud flaps on the back, and yeah, I think you can agree, it just sets off to a really clean look. The one thing that I have changed is this rear safari door. It was in a shocking state on the frame and the skin, and it just really let down the vehicle. So it's had a brand new door completely. The door frame strengtheners went back on. All of the interior of the door has been wax injected, and then on the inside it's had a brand new door trim card by Exmoor Trim and a new grab handle as well. So let's have a look at that. So here you can see the period specific vinyl door card, which was quite difficult to get hold of. There's a lot of cheap versions out there, but this came from Exmoor Trim, and then I've got a brand new grab handle as well. I transferred the glass, but obviously new seals and new trim around there as well. And whilst I was at it, I did the seal around the door and also the door threshold, which is down here, and a new lower seal. I've added this rubber mat into the back just to cover the wheel boxes. I've not stuck that down. That's for the next owner to decide whether they want to do that or whether they want to put some sound deadening underneath, etc. So that's currently sitting there loose, but it's very heavy. In terms of the inside, if I just come in here, you might be able to see. So I removed the head lining. That was pretty dirty, but gave that a really good clean, nice and gentle, and replaced the Lucas light in the center there. On the newer versions, of course, the light moved towards the front of the car, but getting the right one and making sure that all that wiring was fine was just part of that job there. The inside of the paintwork, you can see, is quite shiny, and that's because when I did the deep clean, not only did I wash everything down, but then also used polish compound and a wax after that to bring it back up to what it should be. So it's just nice and clean, and it's as good as he can be for his age. Even things like behind these corner boxes, I've removed those. I had to replace one of the lights and then cleaned behind there as well. If you've ever taken one of those off, you'll know how much dirt can accumulate in there. So the first thing I did when I got Lionel home was to strip out the interior. Everything came out, roof lining, everything. So I could take it back to the bare metal and give him a thorough clean, understand what might or might not need to be done. And on the floor, all of the floor coverings were completely perished. So I replaced all of that with new Hardura, new gaiter around the gear sticks, and then new rubber mats. But the seats are as they came. There's lots of little jobs that I've done in the time that I've had Lionel. And I went about it thinking, if I was the next owner and I was buying Lionel, would I be happy? Would they make me pleased? And so little things like the windscreen rubber seal was really perished and it wasn't leaking, but I thought I would want that replaced. And so that's what we did. And then at the same time, we changed the windscreen itself because the old one had delaminated and was going very milky in the corners and just didn't look that good. So he's got a brand new crystal clear screen, new rubber, and while we were there we did the wiper arms, the blades, and also the wiper spindles as well on the end of the mechanisms. Lionel was being used with some pretty shabby looking steel wheels, and I thought that he deserved a little bit of a treat. And so I've put him on a set of genuine Land Rover Boost alloys, which were around at the same time Lionel was built. And these sit on Continental cross-contact tyres with lots of tread, nice and big and chunky, will take you everywhere you need to go. They're a great tyre and lots of people recommend these on the forums. Well, if you'd like to know more about Lionel, maybe come and see him, take him for a drive, maybe you could be the next owner. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Get in touch with me. He is desperate for a new owner to love him and cherish him forever. Just take a look at him.